Hi guys, today it's beautiful, so let's continue with the institutional reductionism. We started yesterday, and then the key point that I've been making is that institutionalism, or NIE, New Institutional Economics, has been arguing that institutions are special. They're not the same as factor accumulations, as productivity, the tradings, and those kind of things. Because, as North put it, institutions are governing the interaction between humans. So this is very important. That's why it's on the surface. You have to agree with that because unless you are Robinson Crusoe in a novel that who lives alone in an island, otherwise human beings will interact with each other, and then to that extent, institutions governs, regulate, and the human interactions that got to be very, very important. No more, nothing else will be more important than this. That's why on the surface, NIE scholars has a very good, they have a very good point by defining, by letting institutions governing the human interactions. Okay, so to that extent, everything should be fine, right? Institutions should be the super regressors, super independent variables to the covers everything else. But like I said yesterday, if you look at the deeper, then you find out the problems. There are four, I can think of four. The last yesterday, I already mentioned that the institutional stability is kind of an illusion. Okay, um, we will come to that more. And what is interesting is that we learn from uh, many things from the first 100 days of Trump administration. You can see that even in a country that with such a strong, long tradition of institutions, it can be, totally um, come apart. All we need is just one person, okay, who think that the executive branch is above everybody else, and then that's all it takes. So that's why they show that the vulnerability that we face that. I brought out the point yesterday that we have something called the fault equilibrium, meaning that, the only thing that will not change is the change itself. So we are subject to the constant upgrading of competitions, counteracting. Do not presume that institutions stays forever. Like everything after the glorious revolution, everything will be fine. So my theory of a fault equilibrium is different from the social conflict view that AJR presented. You know, first of all, there's more parties involved, not just the parties with the high stake. So we have more people. So basically, this fraud equilibrium acknowledge that the participation of people with strong and high stake in the competition. But also we allow people with marginal uh, stake in the competition. After all, you have to, people like just in the elections, a lot of people, they they're not strong. They're not they're neither strong Republican or strong Democrat. They just stay in the margin. They say, okay, it come to convince me to see which one I should vote. Okay, so we have to acknowledge that. The second point about fault equilibrium is that we just make it assumption more complicated. We assume that people have a dual objective function. The first one is maximizing their personal interest. That's well taken. all the theories have been taken that for granted. Okay, people up for their best interest. However, there is a big difference between uh, countries like the U.S. and China. In China, there is a lacking of justice for all. I call it justice for all. That's a JTA. That sense is very important because that's the biggest advantage for the U.S. for Americans to have this value. They were just saying if there's no JTA, then there's no you have a hard time to explain the human rights movement in which that a lot of the white people participating to support the black people, their human right. And then all these things, many similar things. Just like this, you see people going above and beyond their self-interest, and then show their sympathy and empathy for others. Why it's important? One important reason is that they have a JTA, justice for all. Okay, but in China, so far, hope that maybe we make take at least two generations. That so far the predominant value is justice for me, JTM. Okay, so JTM is nothing unusual because that's a basically human instinct. But JTL that's rare, that's scarce. Okay, that make the society better. In fact, you know that's that's it make a big difference. Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing, the third thing about the for the equilibrium is for the equilibrium focus on the longitudinal change. They believe that it's a dynamic game, that the institutions, the democracies are all subject to changes. Um, on the other hand, new institutional economics, they focus on the institutions only, and they believe that having a good institution can explain why some countries rich, some other countries fail, right? So that's a famous book by AJR on the why nations fail. And then the next one, the number four point that I want to make is that in the for the equilibrium, the topic, the competition is always there. The competition, the fight is always there, but the topic of fight, the cause of fight, evolved constantly. So, I think one thing that we can see that the new institutional economics, they always focus on, they always sing the same song over and over, like property rights matters, and then rule of laws and matters, and then that's it. But in fact, that property right in today's world, that's what guided the World Banks and the IMF and then they in the developing countries. They always say, okay, you have to carry up the property right. You have to divided the community properties, community land to individual farmers. They did that in Africa, and it comes out as North put it, it's less than almost like a disaster. So you have to do this. You have to understand, keep it in mind that the topics, the causes, the themes are evolving over time. The competition is always there, but what they're competing about is keep changing. So that's one thing that I want to. Let's stop here.